It was definitely a good opportunity for me to learn at a 2-year college, build relationships, and learn that I could go to a school like Cornell University.
Hello, Blue Jays, and welcome to The Nest, stories about life after Manor College. I'm your host, Kelly Pfeiffer, Vice President of Marketing Communications, and this is the best part of my day. My hope is that this podcast will encourage, inform, and inspire you, making you feel like at Manor College you belong here always. Before we get to today's guest, it is time for a special tribute from our Evening at Manor Gala that took place here on campus on November 13th, celebrating our 2025 Gala honoree, Jane Zigostowski. Jane served Manor College for 3 decades, helping hundreds of Blue Jays graduate and succeed in their careers, including today's guest. She first served Manor as a tutor and then a professor, then becoming the director of our Learning Center. She would go on to be Manor's Associate Dean of Academic Affairs until she retired. Today, she still serves the college as a valued member of our Board of Trustees. Manor College honored Jane at our annual gala, and it was a beautiful night celebrating someone who has meant so much to the Manor community. While I can go on and on about Jane, we'd like to leave it to those who know her best in this little tribute video.
What can I say about Missy?
There's so many words to describe her.
Saint.
Just grace.
Kind.
She's just fantastic.
Pardon the pun, but polymath.
Genuine.
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 Sincere. It's kind of like genuine, but
She's everything good.
She's always there, and she's always reliable and willing to step in.
She exudes grace in everything, in the way she walks, in the way she talks, in the way she moves, in the way she shows up.
She has a calmness about her, really smart. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on.
She always told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And that takes a particular skill to do that with love.
When I first was promoted to the Dean of Students here at Manor, everyone was very kind. And then I met with Jane, and I remember saying something to the effect of, are you sure you're ready for this? And it took me aback for a second, but then I realized and I appreciated so much how she really wanted to make sure that I was prepared to take on such an important role at the college. And I feel like from that moment on, I felt like I could rely on her as a mentor.
She's good at things that require a level of seriousness. She's good at things that require or that engage in comedy or humor. She's good in work ethic. So she's just fantastic about everything.
Today's episode is sponsored by the Veterinary Technology Program at Manor College. Do you love animals? Are you looking for a career that's both challenging and incredibly rewarding? The discovery of a veterinary technology program at Manor College is right for you. Our program is AVMA accredited, ensuring that you receive a high-quality education. You'll get hands-on experience from day one, working with small, large, and laboratory animals in our state-of-the-art facilities. Our small class sizes means that you get personalized attention from those experienced professionals who are your professors. Graduates are prepared to pass the national exam and launch a fulfilling career as a veterinary technician. Whether you want to work in a private practice, emergency care, or research, your journey can start here. Learn more and start your future in animal care today at manor.edu/vettech. That's manor.edu/vettech. Today we have an incredible alumni joining us who shows us just how far a foundation built at Manor College can truly take you. Coming from Warminster, PA, and a graduate of William Tennant High School, our guest graduated in 2005 from Manor College with an associate's degree in Paralegal Studies. While at Manor, they were deeply involved in campus life, contributing their time to Rotaract and Student Senate. After graduation, they took a big step forward, successfully transferring to Cornell University for a bachelor's degree, and then attended Villanova for law school. This alumni is a published author and currently working at a Fortune 500 company as the Director of Human Resources at L3 Harris. Please give a warm welcome to our special guest, Marshall Burstein. Hi, Marshall.
Hey, Kelly. Nice to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, always a pleasure to talk to you. Can
Yes.
you start us off by sharing how did you first hear about Manor and what made you decide to enroll?
So, interestingly enough, Manor was the only college that I applied to coming out of high school. So, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I got out of high school. And my parents said to me, "Hey, there's an opportunity to go to this small 2-year college that has a paralegal studies track. Maybe law is what you want to do, maybe get a taste for it." So, I applied to Manor and got in, and the rest was history.
Oh, that's great. I love that. We don't often hear from alumni that Manor was like their one and only choice. Typically, it's amongst others. So it's
One and
really cool
only
to hear.
choice. That was
One
it.
and only. Yeah. So what was kind of your Manor experience like for you? Take us back. It was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? What was it like for you as a student?
Manor was a great experience. It was because Manor is such a small institution. It was very intimate. I had a lot of opportunities to build relationships with my classmates, with my professors, with some of the administration, and in doing that, there was really easy to get help when I needed it, additional tutoring if I wanted it, and get actively involved on campus. So I am a huge proponent of smaller institutions.
That's great. Exactly. I mean, when you're at a small school, it's hard to hide. You certainly can do it, but I feel like it's just easier to get involved. And I mean, life's what you make it. College is what you make it. So, like, if you want to have that full college experience, getting involved is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
When you were at a student, were there any professors or staff who you felt like really had an impact on you?
Yeah. So one of the biggest impacts on me, my career, who I still keep in touch with today, is Jane Zagostowski. She was my calculus professor for Calc 1 and Calc 2. And yeah, her and I, we had a lot of time together where I would go to her for help and support for my classroom experience. And, she would give me guidance not just in mathematics, but also as I was navigating the transition to Cornell University, which I eventually transferred to. So there was even a time where I was preparing to transfer that summer, and I had to take an examination to bypass some of the preliminary mathematics courses at Cornell. And Jane actually sat down with me. We went over some of the curriculum, and I self-studied some information through some of the textbooks that Jane gave me to get through that test without having to take some mathematics courses at Cornell's, interestingly enough.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, talk about like going above and beyond, like, the duty of being a professor. That's great to hear. And as you know, Jane was honored just last night at our annual gala. So it was really special to honor someone who's had such an impact on hundreds and hundreds of students at Manor. So it's great to hear that story. Now you, Marshall, are really interesting in that you wrote a book about like breaking in the back door of the Ivy League, and
Yeah.
like take us through kind of what kind of made you want to write a book about it, and how was it like living that life where like you did break in the back door of the Ivy League? What was that like for you?
Yeah. So I never anticipated going to an Ivy League institution, let alone getting into law school. In high school, I wasn't really the academic type, but I recognized when I graduated high school that I had to do something with my career. I didn't know what it was. And I was very dead set on applying myself when I got to Manor College. And after the first year at Manor College, I was able to get a 4.0, able to get all A's. So I started researching institutions that I could personally transfer to, because at the time, Manor College was only a 2-year college. So I discovered that I could transfer to some of these prestigious universities, and I started looking at what were the requirements to make sure that I could seamlessly transition and make sure that my credits would actually transfer. So I took required classes at other local institutions at the time, in addition, as a supplement to my coursework at Manor College. So it was definitely a great experience. So it was definitely a good opportunity for me to learn at a 2-year college, build relationships, and learn that I could go to a school like Cornell University, quite frankly, and then get into Villanova. But I wrote the book because I wanted other people to see that they could forge the same path.
Sure. Wow, that's so cool. Have you heard stories from people who read the book and were like, "Oh my gosh, I did this too," and kind of like built a little? I'm sure there's a community out there of people who have kind of taken similar paths. Have you found that and kind of stayed in touch with them?
Yeah. So I've stayed in touch with a couple people over my career, from L3 Harris and otherwise. So super excited to keep in touch with them, that have gone on for one-on-ones and things like that. But it's been really great experience and a great opportunity for me to be able to stay in touch with them and watch their careers flourish.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. I always love it when students come to Manor and they maybe weren't the best high school student or struggled or took a gap year or something. They weren't like that traditional, you know, a student in high school, and they come to Manor and they like kind of like have a fresh start. They have a chance to like clean slate, and they get inspired. They meet a professor or someone here who really gets them motivated, and then they can go on to something else in their life. I think that's so inspirational, and I frankly think that's what the Manor, like, to me, that's very Manor. That's kind of what we do here really well, is take students, maybe like a diamond in the rough, and then they come on to be this beautiful, sparkly diamond a few years later. So I think your story really emulates that well. So today you are the director of HR at L3 Harris. Tell us about your role and tell us how did you make this transition into human resources from a law degree, from a paralegal? What has your career trajectory kind of been like for you?
Yeah. So first and foremost, when I went to school for Paralegal Studies, I eventually had the intention of going to law school. So I found Cornell School of Industrial and Labor Relations by happenstance, because they had a really high matriculation rate to law school. So I was kind of going on a whim to say, okay, well, let me go to this school. I didn't really know much about it, but it was focused on industrial and labor relations, human resources. And it was a great opportunity. At the time, I didn't want to work in HR, but I was learning about labor relations and other elements. So that was a great experience for me. So what I will say about Cornell, it was the school itself, as industrial and labor relations, was very reminiscent of Manor College because it was a student body that was relatively small. There were only about 800 students or so within this institution, which made it very comparable to Manor in a way. So that made it easier to acclimate. And then transitioning to Villanova Law, I made the decision I wanted to go to law school. Went through law school. I got barred in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. And then when I got out of law school, I wanted to pivot into labor relations. So working with unions, companies, doing collective bargaining agreement negotiations, contract negotiations, grievance administration, arbitrations. So I ended up at Bridgestone Americas, the tire manufacturing company in rural Tennessee, working at a manufacturing facility in a labor relations capacity. Labor relations is only one facet of human resources. And I ended up getting exposure to talent acquisition, compensation, and other elements, and then broadened my horizon within HR, and I never looked back. So that's kind of how I ended up staying in HR. My education between the paralegal studies degree, the Cornell ILR labor relations degree and my law degree ended up being a tremendous asset to me, given that we deal with a lot of labor and employment laws within the human resources realm. So it was very complementary to my future career, even though I never anticipated working in human resources. Kind of the story of you never know what you're going to be and you don't know where you're going to end up was definitely reminiscent of how I've approached my career.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's so cool though that these kind of unseemingly connected things end up being this huge asset later. And that totally makes sense. You're going to be dealing with laws and legal challenges and I mean that makes perfect sense. That's awesome. A question that I like to ask alumni when they're in different careers and professions is like what's a myth or a misconception about working in HR that you want to debunk, that people assume that, you do or you don't do, and you want to like set the record straight?
Yeah. So I would say there's not a lot of, we call it personnel administration. So we actually at organizations, our benefit service centers are through third-party vendors. A lot of our short-term disability and things like that are third-party vendors. We spend a lot of time as HR business partners with the leaders of the organization, identifying business strategy. What are all the talent levers that we can pull to make sure that we'll still be a viable company in 3, 5, 10 years down the road? So we actively look through all of our engagement survey results. We actively look at, comp pay positions, ratios. How do we elevate engagement, compensation, and performance? How do we hire? How do we look for great talent? I would say from an HR perspective, if you're in any organization, you want to align yourself with your HR professionals who can help you navigate your careers. A lot of people historically stay away from HR. I would say HR can be a great functional organization to align yourself with, because we will educate you and show you how you can navigate your career path, and what's out there that you might not be aware of.
That's a good one. So don't run away from the HR person, run to them.
Yes.
I think
run
that's
to
a really
HR. A lot of people live by the fact that it's a great thing if HR doesn't know my name. But honestly, it's a great thing if they do, because you're doing the right things in your career.
Well, that's a great misconception to debunk, and I think also really solid career advice. That's awesome to hear. So, kind of, you are in a leadership role at L3 Harris. Kind of like, what does the scope of your work involved, and what part of your job do you find the most challenging, but it's also still really rewarding at the end of the day?
Yeah. It depends on the day, right?
Sure.
As a leader, I would say I've got a team of HR professionals. And I think just coaching, guiding, and mentoring, it can be, so many people, not just your team, but also the leaders that you support, that can get taxing and can get exhausting. But also as you see them pivot, you see them change, they take your feedback, they take your advice, That's the most satisfying thing, seeing them accelerate their careers in the organization.
Right. So the success of your team and seeing them succeed, frankly, is something that's really rewarding, but also challenging, because managing other people is always challenging, right? No matter where you are, what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do.
It's challenging yet satisfying at the same time. Yes.
So when you were doing talent acquisition, and I don't know how much hiring of talent you currently do, but when you look at candidates' resumes, knowing that you went to an associate's degree college, how much do you look at that differently on candidates' resumes? How much weight do you give that versus someone who has a bachelor's or who has multiple kind of steps in their educational journey like you had?
Yeah, I would say that in terms of my experience, bachelor's degrees are, once you get your bachelor's degree, we're not necessarily looking at your associate's degree.
Sure.
It's more so, what is your bachelor's degree and what'd you get it in? Do you have a
Mhm.
master's degree or a graduate degree? What'd you get it in? Maybe I'm a little bit different, but if I see somebody who's gotten an associate's degree and then gotten a bachelor's degree, I take notice to that because that's similar to my path.
Right.
And sometimes you can see people that have taken some grit and determination and they've gone to a
Mhm.
2-year college, they've leveled up and gone to an even larger 4-year institution. They've started out at a smaller company and then they've gone to a bigger company, or they want to
Mhm.
break into a bigger company like a Fortune 250 or a Fortune 500. And that just demonstrates to me some of their ambition and a little bit more of their life story,
Mhm.
which sometimes sells better than someone who went to an Ivy League university straight out of high school.
Mhm.
It's all about your life story. And I think if you've got it, you should share it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good to hear. And I think you having that perspective, being able to like understand those stories, because that's part of you what you did as well, is really just unique and kind of special. As we kind of wrap up this episode, Marshall, what advice would you give to current Manor students? Why is Manor a great option for them as part of their college journey?
Yeah, I think to me, it's the size of the institution provides, again, that intimate experience. And it helps you seamlessly transition from high school to undergrad, having uh, the opportunity to engage closely with your professors, the accessibility, the small campus. There's so many good things about Manor that allows that transition to be much more seamless and provides you a little bit more ease as a student coming into a college environment, rather than being one in 50,000. You can be a big fish in a small pond or a peer to so many others, and you can really get to know everyone that you go to school with. And that's impactful for me, whether it's your professors, the administration, or your other peers.
Yeah, the size is huge. It really makes the community so special, and it gives students just so many opportunities to connect with each other. And like, you never know how those connections are going to play out later in life, who you're going to call upon, who you're going to, how things are going to shake out. So I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I have a fun question. I know you live in Florida. You're a big Disney World, Disneyland fan. What's like your favorite Disney World maybe ride,
Yeah.
that, like,
Okay.
every time you go, you have to go on this hit up this one ride?
The People Mover.
The People Mover.
It's I mean, we love the coasters, we love Tiana's Bayou, we love Big Thunder Mountain, all of those things. But when you walk 20,000 steps in a day, the People
Right.
Mover is amazing because it's, you just get on it and it's this little mini monorail that takes you around for a good 10 minutes, and you can
Just
just
have a
relax.
seat.
Exactly.
The
That's a
People
trick.
Mover.
It's a short line too.
Wow, that's a good Disney hack right there. What's like a food item that you love as well?
Oh. Um I would say
At Disney,
if you go
obviously.
to Epcot, no, if you go to Epcot and you go to Canada, they have maple popcorn. So
Oh.
it's the only place you can get maple popcorn is in Canada and Epcot. And if you buy the popcorn bucket that you can refill for like $2 and change, you can actually refill the maple popcorn bucket the same for $2 and some cents. So yeah,
Oh,
it's a
okay,
little
so
nice
get the
little trick.
bucket, make the popcorn.
Yeah, you
Alright,
can get
these are
popcorn
good.
bucket anywhere. Just go to Epcot
Right.
and get the popcorn in Epcot, and it'll be maple flavored popcorn.
Oh, that sounds very like fall like too. We're in the fall season. That sounds really
Yeah,
good.
there's a lot of
Well,
great tips and tricks on Disney. So
I'm sure that you could probably go all day long. I know you're a big fan. Well, thank you, Marshall, so much for being with us today. It's been a joy talking to you and hearing kind of about your Manor time, and we wish you nothing but the best.
yeah, no, I appreciate the time. always here, and appreciate connecting with you as always, Kelly.
Thank you for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, listen and subscribe on Spotify or YouTube, and stay up to date with all new episodes by following Manor College on Instagram at Manor College. And that's a wrap on another episode of The Nest, stories about life after Manor College. Remember, Blue Jays, you belong here always.